Story: Millionaire husband's mistress took his pregnant wife's seat until Grandma shouted, "Get up." Stay with this one, because Grandma Dorothy did more than make a millionaire stand when his mistress took his pregnant wife's chair. She exposed a promise Ryan had made about a seaside house he did not own, and that one lie forced everyone at the table to ask what else he had been treating as his to give away. If you believe consequences and second chances can exist in the same story, subscribe and tell me in the comments. Once trust is broken, what would real change have to look like? Hailey Prescott arrived at the Prescott Family Anniversary Dinner carrying two things carefully: her unborn daughter and a small ivory clutch containing the key to a rented cottage Ryan knew nothing about. At 8 months pregnant, Hailey had stopped pretending walking in formal shoes was easy. She moved slowly beneath the chandeliers of the Belmont Hotel ballroom, her blonde hair falling in loose waves over a deep emerald maternity gown. The dinner marked 70 years since Ryan's grandfather had opened the family's first construction business. Ryan Prescott, Hailey's husband, had transformed that modest company into Prescott Development Group, a luxury developer with properties along the East Coast. At 40, he had money, confidence, and the habit of entering rooms as though furniture, people, and conversations would arrange themselves around him. For years, they usually did. Hailey reached the head table. Then she stopped. Ryan sat in his usual chair. Beside him sat Samantha Reed, the woman he had been sleeping with for months. Samantha wore a fitted red gown and an expression that told Hailey this was not an accident. In front of Samantha sat a gold-edged place card. Hailey Prescott. Hailey felt her daughter move. She placed a hand beneath the curve of her belly. Samantha smiled. "Hailey." Ryan looked up. His face tightened. "You're late." "My doctor was running behind." He glanced toward her stomach and then away. A banquet manager approached. "Mrs. Prescott, we have another chair for you." Hailey looked at Samantha. "That one already has my name." Samantha tilted her head. "I'm sure it doesn't matter." Hailey looked at Ryan. He rubbed his jaw. "Please don't make this awkward." For several seconds, Hailey could not speak. Then she almost laughed. "Samantha is sitting in my place at your family's table, and I'm making it awkward?" Ryan lowered his voice. "It is one chair." Hailey stared at him. The words were not new. He had used them at brunch, at a charity luncheon, at Dorothy's house. "It is just a seat. Samantha is helping with work. You're reading too much into it." The phrase changed. The message did not. "Move. Make room. Do not embarrass me by noticing." The banquet manager began pulling out the spare chair several places away. Then a cane struck the marble. Crack. Every conversation nearby died. Dorothy Prescott stood beneath the ballroom entrance arch, 80 years old. Silver hair. Black velvet gown. Ryan's grandmother had a narrow face, pale blue eyes, and a way of looking at nonsense as if deciding whether it deserved a reply. She walked toward them. Tap, tap, tap. Ryan stood halfway. "Grandma." Dorothy stopped beside Hailey. She looked at her swollen belly, then the place card, then Samantha. Finally, she looked at Ryan. "Get up." Samantha rose so fast her chair scraped the floor. Dorothy did not even glance at her. "Sit down, Miss Reed." Samantha froze. Ryan swallowed. Dorothy raised her cane. "I was speaking to my grandson." Ryan stared. "You want me to stand?" "I want you to remember how." The room went quiet. Ryan slowly pushed back his chair. Dorothy pointed to it. "Hailey, sit." Hailey hesitated. "Grandma, I'm all right." Dorothy's eyes softened. "That is a phrase women in this family have used too often." Hailey sat. Dorothy turned back to Ryan. He looked embarrassed. "Are you satisfied?" "No." Dorothy picked up Hailey's place card from Samantha's setting. "You told the planner to move your wife." Ryan's expression hardened. It was a seating adjustment. Dorothy looked around the ballroom. "Then perhaps we should adjust more." She pulled the chair at the far end of the table away from the place setting. "Sit there." Ryan stared. Several guests lowered their eyes. Samantha whispered, "Ryan." Dorothy heard her. "Do not worry, dear. He says chairs mean nothing." A few people laughed despite themselves. Ryan's face reddened. "This is childish." Dorothy looked at him. "No. Childish is taking what does not belong to you and assuming no one will correct you." Samantha's expression changed. Ryan noticed. "Grandma, enough." Dorothy turned toward Samantha. "Did he tell you the same thing about Rosewood?" Samantha went still. Hailey's fingers tightened around her clutch. Rosewood. The Prescott family's seaside house. The place where Hailey and Ryan had married. The house Samantha believed Ryan would give her after Hailey was gone. Ryan's face drained of color. Dorothy saw it. So he did. Samantha looked at him. What is she talking about? Dorothy rested both hands on her cane. I'm talking about my house. Hailey heard Samantha inhale. Dorothy continued. The house Ryan has apparently been promising away as if my obituary were already printed. The room seemed to contract. Ryan stepped forward. This is not the place. Dorothy's eyes did not move. You were correct about one thing tonight. What? It is not about the chair. She looked at Hailey. It is about a man who has been offering women places that were never his to give. 5 months earlier, Hailey still thought she and Ryan were having a bad season. They had been married 6 years. The first 4 had been easy enough that she believed the 5th and 6th could survive strain. Ryan traveled more. Hailey became pregnant after a year of trying. Dorothy had fallen and fractured her wrist, and Hailey started visiting her twice a week. Work expanded. Sleep disappeared. Marriage became a collection of short conversations around calendars. The first rail warning arrived at 12:38 one Thursday night. Still at the office. Big meeting. Don't wait up. Hailey read Ryan's message twice. When he came home after 2, he smelled of rain and perfume. Who was the meeting with, she asked. Everyone who mattered. The answer was careless. Hailey remembered it. 2 weeks later, she found a restaurant receipt in his jacket. 2 steaks. 2 glasses of wine. 1 creme brulee. Ryan had told her he was entertaining investors. There were only 2 people, Hailey said at breakfast. He glanced at the bill. So, who was the other person? Client. Name. Ryan's mouth tightened. Pregnancy is making you obsessive. Hailey looked down at her small belly, then back at him. Pregnancy did not order the dessert. He walked out. Samantha Reed's name began appearing everywhere after that. She worked in public relations for one of Prescott Development's major hotel launches. Dark hair, hazel eyes, polished smile. Hailey had met her at events. Samantha always stood a little too close to Ryan. At first, Hailey hated herself for noticing. Then she found a hotel charge on a household credit card Ryan sometimes used for travel. Belmont Hotel. Presidential suite. 2 nights. Ryan had supposedly been in Chicago. Attached to the receipt was a spa appointment. Guest, Samantha Reed. Hailey sat alone at the kitchen table. Her daughter moved for the first time strongly enough that Hailey knew it was not gas. The movement was tiny. The truth was not. She cried. Then she called her older sister. Not Dorothy. Not Ryan. Her sister listened and asked one question. Do you want me to come over? Hailey looked toward the staircase. Ryan would be home in an hour. No, are you sure? Yes. What are you going to do? Hailey rested a hand over her belly. I don't know yet. That answer saved her from making a decision merely because someone expected one. Over the next weeks, she learned. She met Megan Walsh, a family law attorney. She opened an account in her own name using money she had earned before marriage and money she was advised she could properly use. She kept copies of household records already available to her. She did not hack Ryan's email. She did not track his phone. She did not follow Samantha. She stopped trying to catch the affair and started preparing for reality. At the same time, Hailey continued visiting Dorothy. Those afternoons became the only place she felt normal. Dorothy lived at Rosewood, a gray-shingled house above the Connecticut shoreline. The property had been in the Prescott family for 3 generations, but Dorothy still owned it. Not Ryan. Not Prescott Development. Dorothy. Hailey loved the house because it did not behave like wealth. The kitchen was small. The back door stuck when the weather changed. One upstairs window rattled in winter. Dorothy refused to replace the old dining table because her husband had built it before they were rich. Hailey sometimes brought groceries. Sometimes she organized Dorothy's medication. Mostly they drank tea. One afternoon, Dorothy caught Hailey staring out at the ocean. Ryan? She asked. Hailey looked at her. What about him? Dorothy snorted. I'm old, not dead. Hailey smiled despite herself. He's busy. Bad answer. Hailey lowered her eyes. Dorothy did not press. Instead, she said, my husband was busy too. Men like that sometimes confuse being needed with being entitled. Hailey looked up. Dorothy stirred her tea. Do not build your whole identity around being chosen by someone who assumes you will never choose differently. The word stayed with Hailey. She did not tell Dorothy about the affair that day. She was not ready. But when she left Rosewood, she drove past a small cottage with a for rent sign near the water. 2 bedrooms. Faded blue shutters. A narrow porch. Hailey wrote down the number. She did not call. Not yet. Samantha did not want Ryan secretly. She wanted to be visible. At first, she tested small boundaries. She took Hailey's usual chair at a country club lunch. Ryan said, "It's just a seat." She stood beside him in photographs normally reserved for spouses. Ryan said, "It's work." She wore a diamond pendant Hailey recognized from a jewelry appointment Ryan had once taken her to. Ryan said, "You misunderstood." Hailey stopped arguing with those answers. Silence made Samantha bolder. One evening, Hailey arrived early at Rosewood with groceries. A car she recognized was parked at the edge of the drive. Ryan's. Hailey heard voices on the back terrace before she entered. She stopped inside the mudroom. Samantha was laughing. "I love this house." Ryan answered, "You should." Hailey's hand tightened around the grocery bag. Samantha said, "I mean it. I can see us here." A pause. "After everything is settled." Ryan lowered his voice. "It will be." "What happens with Hailey?" "She'll be fine." "That is not an answer." "She'll have the baby. We'll work out a settlement." "She'll want stability." Samantha sounded amused. "And this?" Ryan said, "Rosewood stays with the family." "Meaning you?" Another pause. "Eventually." Hailey closed her eyes. Samantha walked across the terrace. Her heels clicked against stone. "I want the room upstairs with the ocean view." Ryan laughed. "That can be yours." The grocery bag slipped slightly in Hailey's hand. That room had been the one Dorothy prepared for Hailey after a difficult first trimester because the morning light helped her nausea. More importantly, Rosewood was not Ryan's house. Hailey knew that. Dorothy had told her directly. Years earlier, Ryan had assumed he would inherit it one day, but Dorothy had never promised him that. Samantha continued, "And the anniversary dinner? What about it?" "I sit beside you. That's Hailey's place." "Then move her." Ryan was silent. Samantha's voice softened. "Stop making me live like I'm temporary." Hailey waited for him. "For one decent sentence." "No. Not while my wife is pregnant. Not in my grandmother's house. Not at my family's table." No sentence came. Ryan finally said, "I'll take care of it." Hailey backed away. She put the groceries in her car and drove to the cottage with the blue shutters. The landlord answered on the second knock. Hailey toured the place. Small kitchen. 2 bedrooms. Ocean visible only if she stood at the far corner of the porch. It was perfect. "Do you want an application?" the landlord asked. Hailey looked at the narrow nursery-sized room. "Yes." That evening she met Megan Walsh. "I want the cottage," Hailey said. Megan smiled. "I'm a lawyer, not a realtor." Hailey laughed for the first time all day. Then they reviewed practical steps. Megan explained that a marriage did not legally end because Hailey moved. Parenting and property questions would require proper agreements, filings, or court orders depending on what happened. Hailey listened. "What about Rosewood?" "What about it?" "Ryan is promising it to Samantha." "Does he own it?" "No. Dorothy does." Megan leaned back. "Then Ryan can promise the moon. It does not transfer title." Hailey almost laughed again. "Should I tell Dorothy?" "That is not a legal question." "No, it is a relationship question." Hailey knew. 2 days later, Dorothy called her. "The gala planner says your seat is being moved." Hailey closed her eyes. "So he did it." "Did what?" Hailey was quiet. Dorothy waited. Finally, Hailey said, "I need to tell you something." She drove to Rosewood. They sat at the old dining table. Hailey told Dorothy about Samantha. The hotel receipt. The photographs. The terrace. The room upstairs. Ryan's promise that Rosewood would be theirs. Dorothy said nothing for a long time. Then she stood, walked to the window, and looked at the ocean. "My grandson promised a woman my bedroom. The room across the hall." Dorothy turned. "That is not better." Hailey laughed through tears. Dorothy returned to the table. "Do you want me to confront him?" "No." "Do you want me to change my will?" "No." Dorothy studied her. "What do you want?" Hailey thought of the cottage. "My own key." Dorothy's face softened. "Good." Hailey opened her clutch and showed it to her. "The cottage key." Dorothy closed Hailey's fingers around it. "Then keep this." "What about Friday?" Dorothy's pale blue eyes became very still. "Friday, you attend the dinner." "I don't want a spectacle." "Neither do I." Hailey raised an eyebrow. Dorothy smiled faintly. "I did not say there would be none." That was how Hailey ended up sitting in Ryan's chair while Samantha stared at Dorothy across the table. Ryan remained standing. "Rosewood has nothing to do with this," he said. Dorothy lifted one shoulder. "Samantha appears to disagree." Samantha looked at him. "You told me the house would stay in the family." "It will." "You said we would live there." Ryan's face hardened. Not now. Dorothy leaned toward Samantha. Did he tell you I had given him the house? Samantha hesitated. He said it would be his. Dorothy nodded. Eventually. Ryan snapped. Grandma. She held up one hand. No. A few guests laughed. Dorothy did not. Samantha looked embarrassed now. I didn't mean you believed him. Yes. That was unwise. Ryan stepped closer. You're humiliating her. Hailey looked at him. Ryan's face changed. You heard that? Yes. The room fell quieter. Hailey's voice did not rise. I heard the ocean room become Samantha's. Ryan glanced toward the guests. Can we do this privately? Hailey almost smiled. That sentence would have been useful before you changed my seat publicly. Samantha turned to Ryan. You said Hailey didn't care about Rosewood. Hailey answered before he could. I care about Dorothy. Samantha looked at her. Hailey continued. The house belongs to Dorothy. That is why I never thought of it as something I could win. Dorothy's eyes warmed. Ryan rubbed his forehead. This is absurd. None of this changes our marriage. Hailey opened her ivory clutch. Yes, she said softly. It does. She removed a cream envelope. Megan Walsh, family law. Ryan stared. What is that? Notice that I retained counsel. His face went pale. Hailey, formal filings and anything that needs to be served will be handled properly. I'm not turning a dinner into a courthouse. Dorothy nodded once. Samantha whispered, You're leaving him? Hailey looked at her. I already rented a cottage. Ryan's head snapped toward her. You what? Hailey held up the key. It was plain brass. Worth perhaps $3. Nothing in the ballroom looked cheaper. Nothing had ever felt more valuable. Ryan laughed once in disbelief. You rented a cottage while pregnant without talking to me? I talked to you for months. No, you accused me. I asked questions. You assumed the worst. Hailey looked at Samantha, then back at him. The worst was sitting in your grandmother's house listening to you assign another woman a bedroom. Ryan had no answer. Samantha's face tightened. So you knew about us? Yes. Why didn't you confront me? Because I was not competing for Ryan. The sentence landed. Samantha looked down. Hailey continued. I was deciding whether I could live with the man he had become. Ryan's voice was low. And you decided? Hailey looked at the key. Yes. He stepped closer. What about our daughter? Hailey's hand went to her belly. Our daughter deserves both parents to behave like adults. We'll work out parenting through counsel and mediation if we can. You're taking her from me. No. Hailey's voice sharpened for the first time. I am leaving you. Do not make those the same thing. Dorothy exhaled softly. Ryan stopped. That distinction mattered. Hailey was not using the baby as punishment. She was not promising to erase him as a father. She was ending a marriage. Different problem. Different responsibility. Samantha stood. I can't do this. Dorothy nodded toward the aisle. You are free to go. Samantha looked at Ryan. What exactly did you tell me that was true? His face hardened. Not here. She laughed bitterly. You promised me a house you don't own. I never said I owned it. You let me believe you did. Ryan said nothing. Samantha's eyes filled. You said everything would be ours. Dorothy looked tired. Dear, men have been promising women other people's property since property was invented. Despite herself, Hailey laughed. Samantha looked at her. For the first time, there was no victory in her face. Only embarrassment. I'm sorry, she whispered. Hailey believed she meant at least part of it. That does not make us friends. I know. Samantha picked up her purse. Then she looked at the place card. Hailey Prescott. She moved it back in front of Hailey. I shouldn't have taken this. Hailey looked at it. No, Samantha left. Ryan watched her go. Then he turned to Hailey. Come home. Hailey closed her eyes briefly. That's the problem. What? You still think home is wherever you are. She stood carefully. Dorothy reached for her arm. Hailey smiled. I'm steady. I know. Ryan looked toward the ballroom doors. If you walk out, he stopped himself. Hailey waited. For once, he chose not to finish a threat. She respected that small improvement enough not to mock it. Hailey picked up her clutch. The brass key clicked softly inside. Dorothy kissed her cheek. Call me tomorrow. I will. Then Hailey walked. Behind her remained the millionaire husband, the family name, the chandeliers, and the chair Samantha had wanted. Ahead of her waited 2 bedrooms, blue shutters, and a door that opened with a key no one else controlled. By the next morning, the ballroom clip was everywhere Hailey looked online, but she watched only the first few seconds. Dorothy's cane. Get up. Ryan's shocked face. Then Hailey closed the app. Her life would not improve by letting strangers replay her worst evening for her. She had boxes to unpack. The cottage smelled faintly of fresh paint and sea air. The second bedroom was barely large enough for a crib, a dresser, and a rocking chair. Hailey stood in the doorway with both hands beneath her belly and smiled. It was enough. Dorothy arrived before lunch carrying groceries. "You need protein," she announced. "You brought enough for 6 people. I do not trust small refrigerators." Hailey laughed. They unpacked together. At the bottom of one bag, Dorothy had hidden an old framed photograph. It showed Rosewood 40 years earlier. Dorothy was young. Her husband stood beside her. 2 folding chairs sat on the lawn. Hailey studied it. "What is this?" "Our first summer there." "You had folding chairs?" "We had debt." Hailey smiled. Dorothy sat at the kitchen table. Ryan grew up seeing Rosewood after the money. He never saw the years when nothing in that house matched. Hailey placed the photograph on the counter. He really thought it would be his. "Yes." "Will it?" Dorothy gave her a look. "That is between me and my attorney." Hailey laughed. "Fair." Then Dorothy grew serious. "I will not change anything because you left Ryan." "Thank you. And I will not reward you for being hurt." "Thank you again. I will help you because I love you, if you ask." Hailey's eyes filled. "That is different." "Yes." Hailey sat across from her. "I need one thing." "What?" "Do not make Ryan choose between you and me." Dorothy frowned. "He made his own choices." "I know, but he is Lily's father." Dorothy looked. The baby kicked. Hailey continued. "If he wants a relationship with his daughter, I want him to have the chance to build one responsibly. I do not want Lily growing up thinking love requires a family war." Dorothy was quiet. "You are kinder than I feel." "It is not kindness to him." "What is it?" "Protection for her." Dorothy nodded slowly. "That I understand." Ryan's first call came that afternoon. Hailey answered because, "Are you safe?" Ryan asked. The question surprised her. "Yes." "Do you need anything?" "No." A pause. "Can I see you?" "No." Another pause. "Can I come to the next doctor appointment?" Hailey sat near the window. "Not this one." He exhaled. "Hailey, you do not get every answer you want today." Silence. Then Ryan said, "All right." It was the first time in years he accepted a boundary without trying to negotiate it. She noticed. She did not reward him for it. She simply ended the call politely. In the weeks after the gala, the divorce process moved forward. Ryan retained counsel. Financial disclosures were exchanged. Temporary parenting plans were discussed for after the baby's birth. Rosewood never became part of the marital dispute because it was Dorothy's property, not Hailey's or Ryan's. Samantha ended her relationship with Ryan. Weeks later, she sent Hailey a handwritten note. "I knew he was married. I knew you were pregnant. I told myself his marriage was already over because that made what I was doing easier to live with. It was not true. I am sorry for the chair, the house, and the cruelty." Hailey put the note away. She appreciated that Samantha did not blame Ryan for every choice. She still did not respond. Accountability did not require friendship. Ryan struggled more. Without Samantha, without Hailey at home, and without Dorothy automatically smoothing over family events, he discovered how quiet a large house could be. He began therapy. At first, Hailey suspected he did it to look responsible in a custody discussion. Then months passed, and he kept going. That did not repair their marriage. It did make later conversations less exhausting. One evening he called and said, "I used to think if I paid for the house, I had earned the right to decide what happened inside it." Hailey looked around the rented cottage. Rosewood should have taught you better. It also healed something smaller than marriage. The possibility that one day they might become decent co-parents. Lily Prescott arrived 4 days before her due date, healthy and loud enough to make every adult in the room forget the calendar. Labor began before dawn. Hailey called her sister first, then Megan, because a scheduled mediation session obviously needed to move. Then, after speaking with her doctor, she sent Ryan a message. "The baby is coming. I will update you when I can." He replied immediately. "I'm here. No pressure. Tell me what you need." Hailey stared at the words. No pressure. It was not romantic. It was better. Her sister stayed with her through labor. Ryan waited until Hailey invited him to visit the next day. When he entered the hospital room, he stopped at the door. Hailey held Lily against her chest. The baby had Ryan's dark hair and Hailey's mouth. Ryan cried. He did not try to hide it. "May I come closer?" Hailey nodded. He approached. "May I hold her?" Another question. Another pause. "Yes." Ryan sat before Hailey handed him the baby. Dorothy arrived 10 minutes later, and found her grandson holding Lily with terror and wonder. She looked at Hailey. Did he ask? Hailey smiled. He asked. Dorothy nodded, as if a national crisis had been resolved. The months after Lily's birth were not a fairy tale. The divorce continued. There were arguments about schedules. Ryan once arrived 20 minutes late and expected Hailey to ignore it. She did not. He once tried to buy an absurdly expensive nursery set for the cottage. Hailey returned it. He learned. Slowly. He stopped confusing generosity with authority. When he wanted extra time with Lily, he asked. When Hailey said no because of a medical appointment, he accepted it. Ryan once would have called that kind of structure cold. Hailey came to see it as kindness to Lily. Predictability left less room for adults to turn every disagreement into a test of love. Nearly a year after the anniversary dinner, Hailey hosted Thanksgiving at the cottage. That surprised everyone, including her. The dining table barely fit 6 chairs. Dorothy arrived first with pie. Hailey's sister came with salad. Lily, now pulling herself upright on furniture, spent 20 minutes trying to remove her socks. Ryan had been invited for dessert, not dinner. It was the arrangement Hailey felt ready for. At 4:30, he knocked. He did not use the key he once would have assumed he deserved. He did not have one. Hailey opened the door. Ryan held a small wooden chair sized for a toddler. I made this. Hailey stared. You? With help. From whom? A carpenter who kept taking the tools away from me. She laughed. The chair was simple. No gold. No designer label. Lily was carved into the back. Dorothy approached from the kitchen. What is that? Ryan looked at her. A chair. Dorothy narrowed her eyes. Dangerous object in this family. Everyone laughed. Even Ryan. He set it near the table. For when she is big enough. Hailey ran a hand across the smooth wood. It's beautiful. Thank you. Ryan did not ask to stay longer. That was why Hailey did. We have coffee, she said. If you want some. He looked surprised. I'd like that. They sat. Not as husband and wife. Not as a family restored to its old shape. As 2 parents learning a new one. Later, after Ryan left, Dorothy noticed something tucked into a drawer. The gold-edged place card from the gala. Hailey Prescott. You kept it. Hailey picked it up. For some reason. Dorothy sat beside her. Sentimental? No evidence. Hailey smiled. Maybe a reminder. Of him. Hailey looked toward Lily's little wooden chair. No, of what then? Hailey thought. That night, I believed Samantha was stealing my place. She was trying. She was trying to take a place beside Ryan. Hailey turned the card over. I had mistaken that place for my identity. Dorothy said nothing. Hailey tore the card once. Then again. She dropped the pieces into the recycling bin. Dorothy looked disappointed. No speech. No cane. Absolutely not. None of them gave Hailey ownership of herself. That had never belonged to anyone else. She lifted Lily. Outside, the November ocean moved dark beneath the evening sky. A year earlier, Samantha had believed sitting beside a millionaire meant she had won. Ryan had believed money and family name gave him the right to assign every woman a place. It could not be promised by someone who did not own it. A chair, a house, a ring, or a surname could symbolize belonging, but none of them could create it. Belonging had to be offered honestly and renewed by how people behaved. Hailey kissed Lily's hair. Then she looked at the tiny chair beside the table. One day, she whispered, you will choose your own place too. Lily grabbed her necklace and laughed. Hailey laughed with her. And in a house Ryan had never chosen, at a table no millionaire controlled, she finally understood the lesson Grandma Dorothy had shouted into a ballroom full of people. Sometimes, get up, is not an order to surrender your seat. Sometimes it is the first demand that the person who disrespected you make room for your dignity. Disclaimer: the following narrative is entirely fictional and created for entertainment. Hailey, Ryan, Samantha, Dorothy, Prescott Development Group, Rosewood, and all related relationships, properties, legal matters, and events are invented. Similarities to real individuals or organizations are accidental.